got good news and bad news, girls.
What?
The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
The Hardcast. It's time for another orally fixated episode of the Hardcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'm joined by Patrick.
Screaming like banshees.
Tonight's review/discussion is about the 1986 horror comedy Night of the Creeps, written and directed by Fred Dekker, starring Tom Atkins, Jason Lively, Steve Marshall, and Jill Whitlow. When an alien experiment goes awry, it crashes to Earth in 1959 and infects a young college student. 27 years later, his cryogenically frozen body is thawed out by fraternity pledges, and the campus is quickly overrun by alien creatures, whose victims come back as zombies. So Patrick, did Night of the Creeps thrill you, or were you left with a mouthful of alien slug?
Mouthful of alien slug. I mean, it was a good movie, but it was still very cheap. But a classic.
Well, apparently from Wikipedia, it's $5 million cheap.
$5 million cheap. And like you said, didn't you say it only amassed $500,000 or something?
590, something like that. So.
Yeah, and it showed.
Which is probably the reason why we haven't seen it on DVD or Blu-ray until now.
I don't even know how it got on Blu-ray, but I'm happy it got on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I think it's just resurgence of all these cult classic movies, like Monster Squad came out. All these movies that have a following on video now, so they figure they can cash in. Now is the time when all these people have grown up and they go out and buy the stuff.
So let's get into the movie.
You can start with the first sequence, the aliens.
Well, the movie starts on board an alien ship. I have to say, the ship looked pretty good. The actual interior of the ship. Now, the aliens, not so good.
They were funny looking. They looked like midgets.
They were actually kind of, I don't want to say cute. They were kind of unique. And
well, the weird thing was that they didn't have clothes.
Yeah. And anyway, at the beginning of the movie, there's an alien. He's got a canister and he's running like hell. But he's just running in a straight line and
down a big hallway.
Yeah, which would be very easy to shoot him, but the guys behind him can't seem to shoot him. They seem to be shooting the ship, and you would think in space it's not a good idea to shoot a ship. Yeah, they keep missing him. And then, of course, they're talking their alien language. And by the way, if you're watching the movie, you should read the subtitles at the top, not the bottom, which I kept doing.
Unless you can read alien.
Yeah, unless you can read alien. And of course they were like, oh, you must stop him, we can't get away with that experiment or something, we must not escape with the experiment.
That's the only problem, like in the beginning, other than the fact that, obviously, like you mentioned, these aliens have horrible aim. They didn't really give any backstory as far as, what is this experiment about? Why is that guy running away? Why is he trying to jettison it onto Earth or anywhere? And why are these other guys trying to stop him? Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Exactly. They would make all this happen. It just seems a very kind of lazy way of just saying, hey, let's throw aliens in there and not explain anything at all and just have them be terrible shots and not wear any clothes.
Unless it was meant to be a weapon and this guy, maybe he was like, no, this weapon is too evil or something. He's like, let me send it out of space.
Yeah, let's drop it on these people on Earth because they're stupid and it doesn't matter if we wipe them out.
We go from the ship all the way back to 1950s America.
1959, yeah.
59 America, and it's all black and white, and oh, Donna, and all that stuff, and they're all in their classic cars, and
with the fins.
Everybody's dressed in I guess like a cardigan or whatever the hell they wear. This prom night or something weird like that. Not prom night, but it's one of those nights where everybody's taking their girl out to the spot.
Yeah, like Lookout Point.
Yeah, where they're all just necking and kissing and stuff. The main characters at that point are like some woman who just broke up with her boyfriend who happens to be a cop, which we see later in the movie.
Well, you remember the girls were talking about him, how, oh, he's just a cop, he has no future, and they're basically influencing her to dump him. Yeah,
shallow bitches. Yeah, I guess they were existed back then too. They're just like, oh, he's just a cop. Anyway, her new boyfriend picks her up, which, by the way, we never found out what he does for a living, and picks her up and takes her to the spot. And she's all like, oh, I wonder which star is the brightest and all that horse shit. And on the radio, we hear some report about some maniac escaping from a insane asylum, and he's killing people with an axe.
Yeah.
So
already killed 4 orderlies.
4 or whatever, how many orderlies. And of course, her boyfriend, the cop, goes to the place not knowing that she's there, and he's all like, oh my god, you're here, and I'm just trying to let you know that this insane man on the loose.
Well, he doesn't even say that. He's all messed up because he sees his girl with this other dude. He just says, just go home. Just go home.
Maybe, I guess he got her killed then, because they start to go Because they're like, oh, you ruined our good time.
Well,
The
I think it
star-
was the boyfriend. I mean, they might have been kind of heading away, but they also went to go look for that meteorite for the
Yeah,
star.
the star they were looking at getting brighter and brighter and passed over. It lands somewhere and he wants to investigate because he's a dumb motherfucker. And they say they start driving. And of course she's like, what are you doing? What do you just go? And he's like, no, I want to see what this is. He takes out his little tiny flashlight and he goes,
Well, I like that part because he goes off into the woods and he goes, "Stay here," as if she can't handle walking in the woods.
or like,
She's just a woman or something.
yeah, woman, you stay there. And if I had some food, you'd make me something to eat. But
Yeah, and
Until
here's
then-
my shirt and iron it and I'll come back.
but until then, you just sit there. And of course, she's got the radio on, which, by the way, is not a good idea, especially in the middle of the woods, and there's a maniac out.
Well, she also turns on the lights.
And of course, what attracts a fucking maniac other than music and light in the middle of the fucking forest? We have a stupid boyfriend walking towards this capsule, this wonderful capsule.
The same capsule that was shot out of the alien ship.
And he goes up to it, and the glass breaks or something, and these things pop out of it. Which, by the way,
Space slugs.
which made me kind of pissed off when I thought of it, because I'm like, I was telling you, this thing travels through space, goes through the atmosphere, and lands, and it doesn't break. And then at the moment he actually goes up to it, it finally breaks. It finally just bursts, because these things can't take it anymore. Whatever, you don't really see what happens to him, but you find out later. The maniac finds...
But when you looked inside the capsule, didn't it look like there were a whole bunch of them in there?
Yeah, on like a handful, I don't know, 10 maybe.
But either way, one of them goes inside the boyfriend's mouth.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what happens to the other ones. I mean, we don't really know what happens at all after that. And we know like a few little tidbits here and there because the cop fills it in later on. That's another big gaping black hole in the storyline, aside from the alien stuff.
Or it could have just been one big one. How about that?
It didn't look like one big one to me. When you looked at the capsule, it looked like a bunch of them were just crawling around inside going crazy.
That's true. But anyway, so we're back at the girlfriend at the car, and she's playing her loud music and not paying attention. And the maniac's there. Pulls up, and it's actually a sweet scene where he's pulling back the axe, and it comes down, but you don't really get to see anything, but it was kind of cool.
Well, I have to say, like, the whole 1950s stuff, that the way he did it with the black and white, I thought it was pretty well done. It captured that whole time
moment,
period.
that moment in time, yeah.
The vibe, the feeling, but at the same time, it kind of made fun of it. So,
Yeah, because everyone was dork.
yeah, like, oh, that's so swell, and
Oh, what, boss or something? Well, no, that was later on.
Yeah, she was like, she's so boss or something. I can.
I'm like, oh, Lord. And then it shoots back to this cop who's now much older.
Yeah, this is 1986, right?
Uh-huh. He's waking up from a bad dream where he's thinking about this ex-girlfriend that he could have seen. Even though I don't know why he thinks about it, because they weren't really that close.
But we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know how close they were. He made it sound like they were high school sweethearts, and then she went to college, and all of a sudden her friends started influencing her, or she just wanted something more out of life, even though we don't know, like you said, we don't know anything about her new boyfriend. If he was someone supposedly successful or going to be like a business major or something that we could kind of understand, like he was going to be a doctor or whatever, then you kind of make sense from her point of view. It doesn't make her any less shallow or anything.
Yeah, but this guy became a successful detective. I don't know.
I don't know how successful he really was.
His house was fucking awesome. What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think he had the same house he had back then, and he had the same car.
And he's successful because his dream involved being on the beach and all that, so he must be successful.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, ex-girlfriend. And he wakes up, and there's a call. Somebody's calling for him. And it says, "Detective, there were 2 bodies at the campus." Wait, is that where?
No. Actually, you're jumping ahead of it.
Yeah, I told you.
You skipped over the whole part with the main characters, Jason Lively and the Marshall guy, Steve Marshall. It was Chris and JC. Those are the main characters. We meet them first.
The kid from European Vacation and some Canadian guy.
The movie starts in 1986. From that point on, we kind of meet JC and Chris, which are the main characters from this point on. And they're new college students. They're kind of like the dorky, geeky 1980s weird science style, the awkward teenagers who want to meet girls but are kind of awkward about the whole thing. Of course, we have Steve Marshall as JC, who I thought was the most memorable and funny character in the movie.
Yeah, he was quite witty. He did quite well for the first time I had seen him in any movie, really.
I think it was his first movie, actually. As far as the characters go, did think he did a very good job. He's probably the reason why there was a decent amount of chemistry between them. There's something about his personality that he kind of makes it very personal. You meet them and you realize that, of course, JC is best friends with Chris. Chris is kind of the shy one, but he just got over his girlfriend dumping him, I guess, in high school, kind of brokenhearted.